In this lecture, we're going to start looking at the word function. So there's one phrase that I want you to think about when you hear the word function. A function is, or means, that every x value, or we can say input, has only one y value, or output. This right here is something that you are going to want to remember for this whole topic. So let's take a look at these graphs to figure out if they're functions or not. We're going to use what's called a vertical line test. So let's take a look at this first graph. The vertical line says that if I draw a line anywhere on the graph, and every single time it only hits the graph one time, then that means this graph is a function. If you think about it, if I go somewhere on the x-axis and I find a point, so let's say right here. So my input here would be 2. If I go up to the graph, then my y value is going to be 4. So if I input 2, I can only get one output of 4. Now let's take a look at this middle graph here. Again, I'm going to look at the vertical line test. So if I take the graph and I draw a vertical line anywhere on the graph, you'll notice that it hits the graph every time at least twice. On each line it hits twice. So this one is not a function. Let's look at this one more closely here. Let's say my x value is -4. My y value, if I go up, it could be 4. And if I go down, it could be -3. So my x value of -4 gives me 2 y values. That can't happen for this to be a function. Let's take a look at this last graph. If I draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph, it only hits it one time for each line. That means this graph is a function. Now we can look at tables. If you remember, a function means every x value has one y value. So this first table, I'm looking at it and I notice that I have all different x values and I have all different y values. I don't have any repeat of the x values, so this one is a function. Take a look at this next one. I notice right away that I have 2 zeros in the x column, and this is also known as my input column. And what it's telling me is if I input 0 here, I get 5 as an answer. But if I also input 0 down here, I get 11 as an answer. For this to be a function, I should only be able to get one specific answer, but here, I get 2. So this one is not a function. Taking a look at this last table, I notice that all my x values are different, so this automatically tells me it is a function. I also want to point out that these y values are decreasing, but that doesn't matter. Now we're looking at a scenario. I want you to completely understand what is the meaning of a function. So Angela makes $10 per hour babysitting. The function b of x equals negative 10, or equals 10x, gives the total amount of money Angela has earned after x hours. What is the meaning of b of 15 equals 150? So here's the information I know. I know b of x equals 10x. I know that x means hours. And I want to know this. What does this mean? Well, if you notice, the 15 is in the same x spot. So I can assume that we're talking about 15 hours. And if I do the math, 15 times 10 is 150. So I'm going to say that after 15 hours of working, Angela has $150. This right here is the meaning of that equation.